Well, good morning, guys. We got the Treager put together and burned in last night. This morning, we're going to throw that brisket on. We showed you how to trim that brisket and season it up. Some people don't like to do that. You know, you do your thing, but I seasoned it up and I let it sit overnight. Wrap it tightly, put it in the fridge, let it sit for 24 hours. Today, I'm going to show you a little bit about what I got going on here. We got this thing warming up now. We're about where are we? We're 175, 177. All right, so we're starting to pull a little smoke. I've got the fat rendering, right? So that's my trimmings from yesterday too. So that will render down slowly and turn to tallow. It'll also protect my brisket from that heat source. So we're going to take a minute and we're just going to wipe those grill grates down with a little bit of olive oil. And that's just kind of a seasoning thing that I always do on all of my grills, but it'll help keep stuff from sticking to it, and it just wipes them off, gets them clean of other dust and things like that. And you can do a lot of things. A lot of times depending on where I'm at, if I don't have access to olive oil or paper towels, I'll cut an onion in half, and I'll just cut that onion in half, and I'll use that. Kind of the same thing. It's just kind of cleaning the grill and seasoning it a little bit. All right, so those are wiped down, and we're gonna put that tri-tip on there. I mean, not tri-tip, I got tri-tip on the brain. We're gonna put that brisket on there, and I do like me some tri-tip, and get that thing going for you guys. So what I've done is I get that sun out of my eyes. I pulled the fat, the tallow out, and pulled the brisket out about an hour ago this morning, and have had them sitting out here coming up to room temp, while I got prepped with everything else. Getting a late start. It's about 10 o'clock, but I'm going to throw this thing on. We may be at this thing till midnight tonight, but we should be able to get this thing done in that amount of time. It's not a big brisket, so we'll see how it goes. But we'll get it on and get this first part of the cook set in, and I'll take a little time to clean up, put these tools away, clean up this backyard a little bit. We're having company tomorrow, so it ought to be good. So let me get that brisket for you and show you how it looks after it's seasoned, and we'll get that thing going and get that thing on the grill. All right, guys. Well, that is definitely the fat side of the brisket. I'm going to pull the camera angle up here just a little bit so we can get a little more of the smoker in the shot. And it looks great. It's a little bit on the wet side, but that's because the salt pulls moisture out. But it's looking great. It's good to go. We're gonna get this thing put over here on the smoker and gets the timer started. So we're holding about 175. That looks like a good place to start. And we'll set her in there. Now you can tell, right, that it was pretty wet, but it didn't leave a lot of juice behind, right? It's still on the meat. So it was a little bit wet, but it soaked in really well. So we're good to go on that. Got it sitting there. It's looking pretty good, right? Holding temp. We've got the tallow between it and the fire source, heat source. I may end up getting a little seasoning in my tallow, but we'll watch it for a couple hours and see how it does. But this should take, I don't know, take 5 or 6 hours at this temperature, and then we'll see about when it looks good to wrap it. So we're gonna let that ride for a little bit, and we'll come back to you. Well, we're gonna put that probe in. So let's run that probe in. I've got the probe temperature set at alarm at 190. That'll get me up in there, and we'll see how it looks like. But let's run this thing through. And they say put it in that thickest part. So we want to get a nice big ball of meat, but we don't want it in the big ball of fat. So try that right there for now. So I've got that on the ball end, right? It's not right on the tip, it's kind of in the center. We got it down in there a little bit. That's a good place to start. And you can see here now it's telling me the probe temperature is 37, 36. The probe alarm is set at 190, and we're right at 162 right now. So let's close this up. Close that up, and we'll let that ride for a little bit. We'll clean up this patio while that does its thing, and get our hopefully that'll render off nice. Get a little smoke in the tallow, and we'll get our paper ready, and so we'll get this area cleaned up. Everything will be ready 5 or 10 hours, whatever the case may be, for when we decide to wrap it. And then when we wrap it, we'll be good to go. All right, guys. So we've been running this thing about 6 hours. We're cooking maybe just cooler than I normally cook. It's not holding temp like, I know it's not going to hold temp perfect or steady, but I've had a couple of swings that were pretty drastic. You know, it'd get up 30 degrees high or so, and then it'd cool off to about 65 or 165 or so, and that was no big deal. And then all of a sudden I came out here and it's running about 140 and smoking like crazy. And then all of a sudden I hear the fire burst and start, you know, flaming. Fan kicks on and it blows the smoke out, but the temp climbs, and the temp climbed up to about 250 before it started leveling off. I'm guessing there was some sort of failure to feed in the auger. I'm guessing, but anyway, since then it's been holding pretty steady temp. But I'm noticing that my probe temp is up higher than I think it ought to be. It's reading 132. So I'm going to temp it with my thermometer that I normally use, and we're going to see Mr. Dave's Papa Fix-It's thermometer is getting me anything different. So I know this isn't where we're supposed to be looking, but I'm gonna come down here on this narrow end and get a reading anyways. Because I don't think we're anywhere near what they're saying. I don't know if you can see that. It's not focusing on that. As you see, that's about 120. That's about 120 right there. We got a big thick muscle right here. Let's get down in it. See what we've got there. Well, that says about 130. That's about 130 right there. Almost 140. Let's see what we got over here. All right, well, so it's not quite the color I was looking for. It's not bad. Our fat hasn't quite rendered down right here, but there's a big chunk here that's a little thicker than I meant to leave, but it's barking up all right. It's not quite where I expected it would be. See that? Yeah, it's running close to 140, so I guess we're pretty close on that probe. So I'm gonna pull it right now. We're gonna wrap it, and we're gonna wrap it in this paper and get it toweled up. It's pretty. It's looking good. All right, so we pulled it off. I've got my paper ready. This is the tallow that I rendered out while we were cooking, and we're gonna put some of that down. My tricky part is gonna be, can I remember which side's fat side up when I'm finished? And so I'm gonna take, and I'm just gonna put it on here by hand. I've seen Jeremy Yoder do this before. I don't know, you know, if he can do it, you can too, kind of thing, right? So, put a little bit on the back here on the top. I'm just going to smear it around, guys. And then I'm going to roll it back here. So, fat side is down now. It looks good. The color looks good on it, right? I don't know. I think it looks pretty good, guys. We're going to get this all wrapped up. I've never done this before, so if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, probably because I don't know what I'm doing. Alright, so now that's fat down. Let's bring that over. Bring that over. That up. That's that down. That's fed up, guys. So I'm going to go back in there. We're going to let her ride. I got it kind of running away again, and I'm not sure why. I know it doesn't like the lid being open, but it shouldn't be doing that. I'm going to shut this thing down for a minute. Find out what the hell's going on. Get out of the way. Alright, well, so I turned it off. I cleaned it out and let the burning chamber clean out and let it do a complete shutdown. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I've got the brisket tallowed, wrapped, and I'm going through a restart sequence on this thing and see what happens. I'll show you what I'm talking. It's wrapped. It's ready to go. Let me there we go. It's wrapped up, ready to go. Put the probe back in it, and I shut it down. And now I'm priming it, right? It says priming complete, so priming complete. So let's see, where do we want this thing to be? Now, I'm going to run this thing at 200. Now it says it's igniting. Probe says it's at 138. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it's igniting. Probe's at 138. My alarm's still set for 195 on the probe. And let's see if it'll restart and come up to 200 degrees. That's what we're going to do. I've got a phone call from my son. He's coming into town, so I'm going to have to go pick him up. And this thing's going to have to ride for a little bit without me. I'm going to hope that letting it reset kind of help offset some of the feed problems with the auger. Did really good for about 5 hours, and the last hour it's acted a little goofy, and I don't know if there was just too much ash in the hopper or the burning chamber, or it just doesn't like feeding those pellets. But let's see what happens. It ought to light any minute now, and we'll be back in business. Otherwise, we'll be calling Treager, and we're going to have some discussions. But, you know, Treager, they tell you can only use our pellets. But that ain't true. But maybe these pellets aren't that great. So I know there's a lot of people out there have their favorites. And if you do some looking on the internet and check a lot of reviews, you'll see that there's one or two brands of pellets that continually get a lot of praise and rate high. And so I think I'll be looking into getting some of those other pellets. When I get done with this, whatever's left over, I'll drain out and switch over to some Treager pellets in the next burn. We'll see what happens. So this thing says it's igniting. I don't smell smoke yet, but we'll let it ride and see what it's going to do. So it's let me show you. got it set for 200, but it topped up about 228, 930, about 230. Now it's coming back down. Hopefully it'll stabilize and run okay, but I've got to go for a couple of hours and I'll be back. My wife's home, she'll keep an eye on it, but probe temps at 140, 138. I got an alarm set for 195 on the probe. We'll see how it does. I mean, unless it just goes crazy, it ain't gonna ruin it. We'll see, you know. And I'll show you how it turns out. So it's about almost 9 o'clock. Probe temperature's at 166. We're still cooking at 200. I think I'm going to bump that to 225. I think I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to 225. Try to get this thing finished up. 10 o'clock will be 12 hours that it's been on. And I think it'll handle it. I'm going to go ahead and push this up to 225. So got it set at 225 now. I'll take a quick peek inside. It's looking good. A little bit of wood smoke still smoking. It seems to be burning pretty consistent compared to what it was doing earlier today. So we'll let it run a little bit, and I'll keep an eye on that probe temperature. Hopefully that thing will finish up pretty soon, because I don't want to be out here all night trying to take care of it. So we're gonna see how it goes. All right, guys. Well, you just shut the thing down. I tried to tape it, but tried to record it, but I missed. I've got it on shutdown cycle. It's doing its thing. You know, it worked pretty good this afternoon. Got a couple of hiccups earlier. It's about 12:30, so we went 14 and a half hours. Yeah, so we got her up there. It was temping at 201. It was probe tender. It doesn't get any more tender than that, so I pulled it, wrapped it up, put it to bed. Everybody else has gone to bed, so I'm shutting down the lights and I'm going to bed. Got an early day tomorrow, but we're gonna drop that thing. We're gonna put that thing on first thing in the morning and slowly get it back up to speed. And we get that thing back up to temp. And the morning, then we're gonna pull that thing and put some chicken on. So we'll get that thing back up to temp. We can pull it up a little faster, because we're already done. Get that thing up to temp, and we'll let it rest while we cook the chicken. That should be pretty easy to do. So that's the plan for tomorrow. It's 12:30. I gotta get to bed. Good night, everybody. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Welcome to Mickey Mouse Operations. Papa fixing brisket. Hey, we ran a big day yesterday, a really long day. I'm tired today. I want to take a nap. My wife says no nap today. It's Mother's Day. We've got people coming over. And so you might have got a glimpse of it in the video, but I had kind of a messy workstation going on yesterday. We've got the brisket over here. We got it over here on the smoker, reheating it, getting it back up to temp. and we're going to pull it off here in a minute to just let it rest and relax. We've got it serving temp, and while it's resting and relaxing, we're going to grill up some chicken. So we'll throw that chicken on there, crank that dude up, and we'll crank that thing up to 500 degrees and see if we can cook up some legs and thighs. Got some legs and thighs with some marinade on them. They're going to be delicious. Hopefully they won't take too long. Time they come off, people will start showing up. Let me set up here. So, like I said, we just got that coming back up to temp. It's been resting since last night. Got me a tablecloth out here so people won't see how ugly it is. Got some tables set up here. The patio looking nice. Got some chairs out there on the lawn that we hosed off that little ones can use. It's warm enough today. It's supposed to be 95. We're liable to have kids in the pool today. Very likely. So we're having a good day today. We're all set up, ready to go. Look at this over here. Look at this. We even got the fountain going. Oh, nice day today in Papa's backyard. Yeah, that's nice. So, get some of our mess tidied up over here so I'm not looking so messy when everybody shows up. But got my wife's nice tablecloth out. She said I could use it so I'm not in trouble. Getting ready to roll this thing up to high temp. Throw that chicken on. So we're gonna have people showing up. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to slice that brisket in front of you guys. I'm gonna try to get that done so we can look at it when we cut it open. We'll see how that goes. If I can get that on video, we will. But I'll definitely let you know how it turns out and how the chicken goes. Got beans on the stove, got some roasted potatoes in the oven, got the veggies going, and some BLT pasta salad. Bow tie pasta with some tomato and chunks of bacon in there. It's a good pasta salad. Anyways, we're gonna have a fun day. Just talk to you guys later. Have a happy Mother's Day. All right, guys. Well, this thing's ready to come off, so we're gonna get it out of there and wrap it up. So we'll wrap that up. We'll let that rest right there a little bit. It's about 95 degrees out here today, so it ain't gonna cool off too fast. And get this up to temp. We're gonna get that up to temp, and we'll throw those legs on. Legs and thighs. Legs and thighs. I don't think I'll need this rack, but I'll put it on in case I do need it. space. We'll let that come up to temp. We'll get this chicken on. Now, as you guys can see, I've got my chicken here, some boneless thighs, and I've got some boneless, skinless thighs and some drumsticks. They're always a big hit. Got a breast over here that Nana wants. I'm gonna go ahead and add some more pellets to this thing. I've been running it all night long, and it has not used a significant, I mean, not a huge amount of pellets, but you can see that that's down, you know, I don't know, maybe halfway, but I'm gonna go ahead and add some pellets to it. Just because while I'm running it hard at 500 to cook my chicken, I don't want to run out. And that's my pellets with the pecan cherry and oak. So see how it goes. It's smoking a lot. It's going to smoke quite a bit right now because there's some drippings in there that are going to burn off. We'll let them get it burned off, and when it gets good and hot and it burns off those drippings, it'll stop smoking. And it's almost up to temp now. So we'll see how it goes. We're at 435. We'll let that go until we got a little fire in there. We'll let that go until it burns itself out and burns those drippings off. I think we'll be all right. That's just the fat that came off of that brisket. Let it go ahead and burn out. It'll take a few minutes. That'll take a few minutes. In the meantime, let's get this chicken out where I can use it. Now, you know, they always tell you to get your bring your meat out early and get it up to room temperature kind of stuff right before you grill it. But with my chicken, I don't like to do that. So this just came out of the fridge. It's still pretty cold. We're just going to get it in here where I can work with it. Had it in that marinade all night. And so I've got gloves on. Always wear your gloves when you're working with this stuff. It's not, I mean, you know, you don't want to get germs on people, but prepping the beef and pulled pork and stuff, you're going to cook that and get it hot enough that after you have touched it and handled it, it's going to kill all those bacteria. But if you touch this chicken and you go moving around touching other things, you contaminate your surfaces. So we don't want to do that. So we're just going to mix that around a bit. I just dumped it all over my foot. Nice. So I just got done dumping all that chicken juice all over my foot. I happen to be wearing my flip-flops today because it's so hot out here. But, you know, you got what are new gloves for? So I cleaned up my mess. Get some fresh gloves on. We're at 500 degrees, and if you look over there, it's not smoking anymore, not like it was. So all that fat's burned off. Let's throw some chicken on the grill. Let's throw some chicken on the grill. Drumsticks are on. These thighs have been there. smells amazing. So let me show you what we got going on here. We got a chicken breast up on top, thighs right here in the middle. We got some lime citrus marinated on the bottom with the leg. Yeah, they're gonna drip on each other, but that's what, you know, what are you gonna do? So now we'll let that come back up to temp. Let those cook for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes, but we'll check them here and there, make sure they're not burning on the bottom. But they're looking good, and when we pull those off, right before everyone shows up, we'll start slicing into this brisket. So even when you're cooking outside, you got all this stuff going on, you got to be careful of cross-contamination, especially if you're doing fish or chicken, pork, and anything else, right? So I had my meat, my beef's completely wrapped. It's on hold over there, it's resting. Got that cleaned up. We burned the fat off. You're not going to contaminate chicken with beef fat. That's not the issue. But chicken has salmonella, some other things that you don't want to spread that bacteria around. Cooking it kills it. But so I've cleaned up. I pulled that stuff out of the marinade. I'm not going to reuse that marinade. Sometimes it's a good idea to reserve some, and then you can drizzle over the meat, the chicken, while it's cooking. I didn't do that today, but we dumped that. We're not going to reuse that. Clean up all your utensils, anything you use the chicken on, get it all cleaned up. We're not going to reuse any of those trays or storage pans, so I just put that in the trash. I'm going to go wash my knives and make sure we're good, because I used the knives to cut open that one package, but we're in good shape. This is at 450. Shouldn't take but about, I don't know, maybe an hour for that. Might take less than that, but we're looking good. We're looking good, people. All right, so that chicken's going pretty good. You can see we got a little bit of smoke coming off of that thing. Most of that is coming, it's not coming from the pellets itself. That's coming from the drippings off the chicken and down onto that drip tray, and it's just going to smoke. You're going to get that when you're running something like chicken and you're running this thing that hot. That's going to happen. So I'm not too concerned about it. I smell it. I know that it's chicken and marinade, not wood. If the sometimes when you're doing that, you get the you can get it going too hot, and you can smell the wood. If you got the wood going, you get that much smoke, and that's not really what you were aiming for. You can tell because it smells different than the chicken. But this is just smoke from the marinade and the fat coming off the chicken. We're in pretty good shape. We're gonna let it do its thing, and we'll have that off pretty quick. I just checked it, still looking really good. It's coming up back up to temp. We were at 500. I opened it up and checked it, so it dropped a little bit, but we're back to 480, coming right along. That'll be done pretty soon. I've got some clean, fresh pans for the chicken to come off into. Oh yeah, our brisket's still nice. It's giving off heat, nice and warm. We'll be getting into that pretty soon, guys. So we're ready to go. So we got this chicken looking pretty good. Now that's about, I just temped it, and our internal temp on that is about 140. I rotated them around a couple of times. But look how nice they look. They're getting nice and brown, charred. I've turned it down to 400 because it was cooking so fast at 500 I couldn't keep up with it. So there's proof that you can cook. There's proof that you can cook chicken on a pellet stove, pellet cooker. So pellet smoker, the Treager 850 Timberline is cranking it out. I had to back off on the heat because I couldn't keep up with all that meat. So that stuff's about ready to come off, and we're gonna slice some brisket. good. Looks good. So moment of truth. Moment of truth. Looks perfectly cooked from the looks. It's really good. Pretty good. I need a napkin. It's too hot. It is hot. It's almost coming apart. You do have a little bit of fat there that's not quite rendered down, but it's not bad. Got a good flavor. Looking good, folks, so I guess it's a hit. I think we can work with it. Thanks for joining us. The family's mad at me for recording, so I gotta go now. Bye, guys. We'll talk to you later.